What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us here on 12 Plus, the streaming home of 12 News, or on 12news.com or the 12 News YouTube page. Cameron Cox, Jake Garcia here, coming to you from day one of Cardinals camp. It is football season. It is here, as Troy Hayden put it on 12 News at 4. Feels like his birthday, Christmas, an anniversary, all rolled into one.
Can I add one?
Sure, what we got?
Groundhog's Day. We'll get to that in a second.
Just because it always happens every year. Yes, folks at home, football season is back, and of course the Cardinals. It's a little different this year. There's expectations with this team, right? And I think that was pretty clear talking with JG today, right off the back. Like they kind of hear this stuff, right?
Yeah, they do, and I think they do their best to
block it out, ignore us,
and
ignore the fans,
set their own expectations and goals in house. And I think really that's what any successful sports team does. They acknowledge that the expectations exist, other people are going to have them, but at the end of the day, it's not really impacting their day-to-day stuff or their process. I thought Marvin Harrison actually put it really well. He said, our process stays the same, we're just going to do it better.
Sure.
So I think that's the game plan, especially on offense where they're running it back with largely the same group.
And also something interesting with Marvin is he said like winning or win like 15 times in 15 minutes. It is very clear. He wants to win. Yeah. He wants to impact winning. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. In fact, I think the phrase that he uses, got to go get it now. Go get it now. We have to win now. He understands that this coaching staff is heading into year three in the system, year 2 for MHJ. He wants to take a big stride. Jake Garcia did a story on Marv. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But let's get to like the really big news of the day. You know, it's fitting in Valley Sports, Jake, and you know this too as well, going to school here and been here 12 years now. There's always something with Valley Sports. When expectations happen with a team in this city, like the D-backs, you just never know what's going to happen then right after that. Right out of the rip, right off the rip, I should say, JG kind of telling us some injury news, breaking some news. You got 3 players on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list: Bilal Nichols, BJ Ojulari, and the surprising name, first-round pick Walter Nolen, likely going to miss the entire camp according to the NFL Network with a calf injury. He suffered the calf injury, Jake, training for training camp. Like, it doesn't get any more Arizona sports than that, right?
This is why I said at the top that it was Groundhog's Day, because we saw the same exact situation, same exact injury to Darius Robinson last year, another first-round pick on the defensive line. So just when you think that this group is built out and ready to challenge, you know, some of the best offensive lines in the league, all of a sudden you realize that you can never have too many pass rushers. So this is obviously hugely disappointing for Walter Nolen. I think camp was really going to be when he got his feet under him and acclimated to
We're looking forward to a lot of those battles and seeing what he could do under Calais Campbell, his tutelage too as well.
And you just hope that it doesn't turn into a Darius Robinson situation.
I think that's the fear.
It becomes a redshirt season pretty much. I mean, he missed, 6 games, or came back for the last 6 games last year?
Came back for the last 6 games of the year, missed most of the year.
And wasn't really productive.
Wasn't productive, and JG's talked about that. Why is because he was dominant in training camp. And we saw those joint practices in Indy last year. He was unblockable at times, but when you miss all those reps at the beginning of the year, then you just get kind of thrown back into it. And he did have a setback midway through the year with that calf injury. It really was. It felt like a redshirt year. He has talked about it. It'll be cool to see what kind of strides he makes. He's fully healthy coming back into camp, but the clock starts to wonder. The mind starts to wonder. I asked JG if it was similar to Darius's injury, and he didn't want to go there that far. He was also asked if this is going to affect time when the season rolls around. He did not know. He said that over and over again. But the news is looking like he's going to miss some time with the NFL Network, saying that time is most of, if not all, of training camp.
The only way I can spin this positively is Walter Nolen came to this Cardinals team with maybe some questions about maturity and character concerns. And I don't know if they rose to the level that many people said they did, but now maybe is a chance to understand the day-to-day grind
of the NFL.
The NFL. Learn how to be a pro while you don't have to learn a playbook at the same exact time. Not to say that he's not going to be studying that, but maybe he's just able to focus on one thing, and when he comes back on the field, he'll be better.
Be ready to roll.
But I still don't think this is a good thing. Just a positive spin on a bad situation.
Yeah, and it's been cool to hear his teammates talk about him, his coaches talk about him. You don't really hear any of those concerns that you had coming out of the draft, so that's a good sign. You were just really looking to see this front seven be at full strength, because that was the hope coming into camp, that for the first time since Calais Campbell's his first stint with the Cardinals, like they had a front seven that you were like, that's a nasty group. That group's going to get after some people, especially with the addition of Josh Sweat on the outside. But now you see why the Cardinals, they signed a defensive lineman right before camp just for some depth pieces. They do have some decisions to make when it comes to that 53-man roster at the end of camp. They can't keep everybody in that defensive line group, but already down 3 pass rushers on day one for a group that we thought that was going to be maybe the most productive group on the team.
And it's a little disappointing for B.J. Ojulari as well, because he had so much momentum. I obviously wasn't here to cover, that training camp last year, but just reading, the reports and things people were saying about him.
He was supposed to be healthy. This was the timeline.
Not only that, healthy this year, yes, but expectation was he was going to be maybe even a starter last year. And then he has the ACL injury, and now the timeline is being pushed back a little bit. So hopefully he's able to take the field sooner rather than later, because this is a guy who is really trending upward.
Yeah, so Bilal Nichols, B.J. Ojulari, and of course Walter Nolen, all on the PUP list, the physically enabled to perform list. They could come off that list anytime they are ready to practice. My guess is B.J. and hopefully Bilal are trending closer. Those are injuries they suffered last year. It probably sounds like they're trending towards maybe making an appearance here at camp soon. I don't know what soon is, but it sounds like a lot sooner than what Walter Nolen is going to be like. Speaking of those pass rushing group, Josh Sweat, it was cool to see him out there, their biggest acquisition of the free agent market, one of the best pass rushers, if not the best pass rusher on the open market here for the Cardinals, reuniting with his former defensive coordinator out there in Philly, Jonathan Gannon, where he had his 2 best years out there in Philly. We all saw what he did in the Super Bowl, right? They paid him a lot of money to come out here to the Valley, the most money they've paid a pass rusher since Chandler Jones, so a big investment. It was cool to see. I saw you over there kind of watching him, Jake, right? It was just cool to see, right? Because that's the guy that's really going to get after the quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, the expectations with someone with that sort of price tag and then pedigree from the Super Bowl as well are just through the roof. He was doing some side work with Baron Browning during the first.
Another guy they traded for last year and re-signed too as well.
Re-signed. So clearly they like what they saw from Baron in some limited work down the stretch last year. But for Sweat, I think it's interesting that the 2 best years of his career came when Jonathan Gannon was his defensive coordinator. And so that just speaks to the scheme that was in place then, and hopefully that same scheme is still apparent here in Arizona. But I think he feels really empowered, really free to do his thing under the construct of Gannon's scheme, and hopefully that shows up here, because as you know, the pass rush and getting to the quarterback have been such a struggle for this team.
Tough. And I've told Calais that before. Ever since he left, it's just been a struggle to find a group of guys to fit in that room. That's what I'm saying. He's back. Maybe the good mojo is back too as well. We all saw, and truthfully, what gives me hope too as well with that group, Nick Rollis, despite the pass rush being ranked near the bottom of the league last year, the last half of the year, that man was a magician in figuring out where to put people and putting people in spots to succeed. Guys that didn't even need to get after the quarterback were getting after the quarterback. Right. We didn't even mention Zaven Collins too in that group too as well. So if anyone can maximize talent, it's Nick Rollis, the defensive coordinator. Let's get to the offense here real quick, because we did get a chance to hear from Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr. There is no drama on this offense, and that is pretty crazy to say, right, too, as well. It's because most of the players, if not all the position players, playmakers, I should say, are back for another year with this offense. There's maybe a different starter up front on the offensive line, and Isaiah Adams starting at right guard. Will Hernandez, they did not re-sign to as well, so some changes there. But other than that, Jake, it is like business as usual for this offense. They know they did not play well down the stretch. They were in first place coming out of the bye week, 2-5 to finish. Kyler Murray, they've all talked about it. How they finished is just unacceptable. They didn't play well. They know they left a lot of meat on that bone. And in order for this team to be better, that offense, it has to be better, period.
And I think a lot of it starts with Marvin Harrison Jr., because if you look at
being the number one, he's got to be that threat.
Because if you look at the rest of the guys, it's what further growth are we going to see from them? Trey McBride just put forth one of the best tight end seasons of all time.
He's getting Taylor Swift respect out there in the tight end market.
Yeah, maybe a few more, touchdowns from him this year would be nice, but honestly, you can't ask for more than what he did last year. Same with James Conner. That's a guy
1,000-yard year,
played all 16 games for the first time in his NFL career, second straight 1,000-yard rush season. Yep. So what more are you going to ask of him? I'm not sure. So there's the question of, can Kyler Murray continue to take that next step? But I think the thing with the most meat on the bone is Marvin Harrison Jr. And it's crazy to say that about a number 1 overall or a number 4 overall pick being the X factor of the offense and all the untapped potential, but we didn't see that potential really manifest in production last year. So Yeah, maybe a bigger Marvin Harrison Jr. is
bulked up.
exactly
220?
what the Cardinals need.
Right,
yeah,
somewhere around 220.
He was 209 last year, so
220.
up 11 pounds. And by the sound of it, I think he could have gotten bigger. He just decided that 220 is the weight that I'm comfortable playing at. But I don't think he necessarily felt like he had to stop or needed to stop, but just what he felt most comfortable at.
220 to fight off all those double teams he got last year too as well. Jake, for me, the biggest thing moving forward is Kyler Murray. JG said it at his end of the year press conference after the season was over. Kyler needs to be more consistent. Two things. One, we need to put a better team around Kyler, which they did, so check that box. And then Kyler needs to be more consistent.
You think they put a better defense around him?
I think they put a better team in total around him because I think you bring back, you invest, you double down in your playmakers. Would I like to see them go out and get a true number 2 receiver? Yes, but you're giving Michael Wilson that benefit of the doubt and hoping he could take the next step too as well, take some pressure off Marvin. Maybe if you get Trey McBride even more involved, he takes pressure off Marv. That running game was as physical as we've seen around here in a long time. I've heard national people say, well, what is the Cardinals' identity? What's their identity? What's their ground and pound? Like they were one of the more physical teams in football all last year. So that's somewhat of their identity. They play hard and they're physical. I just need to see offensively they put it together. And my thing is down the stretch, Kyler admitted this, they know they didn't play well. And if he's more consistent in hitting his guys down the field, completing more passes, maybe him getting out on the run more will do some things. They've often talked about that in having him run more. Kyler's talked about that this offseason. They're able to do some of those things, and I think it all starts with one. If he's more consistent, which is nothing that he hasn't talked about, this offense is really going to go.
He's talked about it, but
we got to see it.
Now we got to see it.
We got to see it going into year 7. All right, day 2, Cardinals camp coming up. Fans, you will join us out here on Thursday. You ready to see the fans?
I think so, yeah.
What are they going to say? What do you think they're going to see when they come out?
I think they're excited about the season.
Yeah.
I think their questions are the same ones that we have. Like, is Kyler going to elevate this team to the point where they're challenging for an NFC Championship or a Super Bowl?
Yeah, there we go. Maybe. We'll see. I said 12 wins. I got to stick to it.
I'm still going under that.
Yeah, you're going under that.
I don't think this is a bad team, but 12 wins.
I also said on 12 News at 4 that they're going to win the division. So hopefully I don't put my foot in my mouth and we'll see what happens. That'll do it for us here on 12 Plus on YouTube and of course on 12news.com. Check us out every day after Cardinals camp. Well, myself, Jake, Lena, somebody from the 12 Sports team will wrap up the day and always try to bring in a very special guest too as well. Shout out to our photographer, Brett Silva, right behind the camera over there. You can't see it, but he's the one shooting all the video for the day. We appreciate Brett. We're just two guys in polos wishing we were on the golf course talking about sports. He does all the hard work, right?
Yeah. 50-pound camera on his shoulder. He's going to need off-season surgery by the time.
No. Can't do that. We got to keep him healthy just like this team. I will see you for day 2 of Cardinals camp.